There we go. Welcome, Laura, to our creative community. So amazing to have you. I just love listening to your music. When I first heard your music, it pulled me into that realm of the depth of his heart. I love all sorts of music. I love all sorts of Christian music. There's some brilliant music out there. But sometimes you wait to hear this sound, don't you? That sound that kind of pulls you, that sound it's not really an audible sound as such. It's that deep call into deep. That sound that just draws you into a spirit that actually beckons you to kind of come away with him. And that's what you carry, and it's so beautiful. And I'm really excited that there's so many people now beginning to come into ascension, and sing out that place of God's heart and the realm. And actually, there's a physical, tangible sound that kind of gets released, isn't there, when we're kind of in that place. So I just really honor you and all that God has put in you and all that you carry of his heart to release. So just go for it tonight.
All right. Well, I'm just really honored to be here. I've been part of this group and I've been hearing what you guys have been doing and sharing, and it's just a really exciting platform. And I love that all all of our creative energies and abilities are being awakened to how to operate from heaven down instead of the other way around. And so it's really exciting that you guys have put this platform together and created this community of sons and brothers and sisters who can meet together and gain strength from each other and ascend together. And it's just, I'm excited to see what God's going to do with it. And of course, I'm very, very honored and humbled to have partnered with you in some music, the first time I've
Yay.
ever really done that. So I'm super excited about the track on your upcoming project called Whirlwind that we did
Yeah.
together. So yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, so tonight I was just going to share some testimony. I know that I've shared bits and pieces of this encounter that was just really life changing for me before, but I want this time I actually took notes because I had to go back and I had to go back and look at my notes. Sometimes we tend to forget some of the details of these encounters we've had, and it actually helps when I read them to remember the encounter and to even go back and step into it even deeper. So just make sure everyone's on mute. Thank you. Um, so thanks. So a while back, I had a really powerful um, 2 day encounter where I was basically gone for 2 days in heaven as God was doing some major reconstructing and deconstructing. And during this time, Jesus Yeshua took me into an amphitheater and uh, began to talk to me about my scroll. And there was a piano on the stage, and out from behind, Jesus took me down to the piano and sat me down on the bench. And the first thing he said to me was, "From now on, it's going to be an audience of one."
Hmm.
And I had never really heard that phrase before, but come to find out that he said that to other people too. And that was really exciting for me because that just gave me such a laser focus as to uh, the order of Melchizedek, where we actually are ministering to him.
Yes.
And so that was really beautiful for me. And then out from behind the curtain, I could see these beautiful curtains in this theater. And out from behind, I could sense that there was somebody behind. And out from behind this curtain came this man. And I recognized him because a few months before that, I was sitting in a room engaging, and this literally with my eyes open like a hologram, this council of men came around me. There were about 8 of them,
Wow.
and they were circling me, and I could see them. They were all in white linen, and I could see them from the waist up, and they were circling me, and they were nodding, and it really freaked me out because I'd never seen it, experienced anything like that before. And then they disappeared. Now, the only understanding I got from that was that it was some kind of council. So this man stepped out, and I recognized him immediately. And I said, "I know you." And he said, "Yes." And I said, "What's your name?" And he said, "Zephaniah."
Oh, wow.
I was so embarrassed because I said, "Zechariah?" Because I knew that he was in scripture and had a book, but I was embarrassed that I hadn't read it. And so he sat down next to me, and he was very kind, and he sat down on next to me on the piano bench. And Jesus began to talk to me about my scroll. Now, he didn't say much, but I knew that he was significant in my assignment and my scroll. Then a few months later, when I went into this 2-day encounter, um, well, this was part of that 2-day encounter, um, Zephaniah appeared to me, and he said, "Come with me." And he took me into this place, this realm. And I said, "Where am I?" And he said, "You're in the council of the sounds of heaven."
Wow.
And I didn't know there was one, and I thought that was really cool. And he showed me. I met. I knew there were several people there, but I could only see one other at the time. And and I knew that he wasn't a person, and he, in the sense that like cloud of witnesses, and he introduced himself as Raphael. And later, when I looked up his name, I recognized that he was an archangel and that somehow he would be involved in the healing aspect of my assignment. And so I observed for several days. I would sit and just watch. And I don't want to over explain the vision because we are all uniquely created. And as we engage this together, he may reveal this realm in another aspect, just like looking at an elephant, right? See the tail, some see the trunk, etc. So, but what I did what I did see was sounds. I heard sounds that I'd never heard before. I heard frequencies. Um, some sounded almost metallic, is like the only way I can um, explain it. Like it's like a machine releasing a generator, releasing a frequency generator. Some sounded beautifully musical. I could hear plants in creation. All of a sudden, I could hear their songs. And I just began, it was so strange. Like if I focused on a person, like if I held my daughter in my heart, I would just begin to hear her song. And he was trying to get me used to this wild encounter. And there were these 3 screens that things would just go across, sounds would just kind of go across these screens. So this is how it went for a while, where I would focus on someone and I would hear their song, and I would focus on anything and I would hear its frequency. Another day when I was just at the hairdresser and they were playing like this EDM music, and I had my eyes closed and my head back, all of a sudden he pulled back the curtain of my understanding, and I could hear the corrupted sounds and frequencies coming out that were underneath.
Mm.
And it sounded almost like what we used to hear of backmasking, it just sounded like the corrupted what was underneath. And it's almost like the skin of what was happening was being peeled back. So I was just beginning to get more of an understanding of sound and frequency. There were times when he would take me into the weather and he would show me the different frequencies um, involved in like the storm.
Wow.
And at the bottom, it was so trippy. So this began to become really normal for me. And I began to ask questions. And I said, you know, I went from an observer to one day when I was there, all of a sudden there was a seat and it was a piano pew bench. And there was a long pew bench and I sat in like one little corner and as I sat down, an old upright piano appeared in front of me. And it was kind of like busted up and just, yeah, it looked like the piano I grew up on.
Mm.
And this piano began to appear and I knew that I was being invited to take a seat. And so I asked Zephaniah, what is the council of the sounds of heaven? And he first gave me Zephaniah 3:17. Because like any good Christian, I wanted a verse. So
Good plan.
yeah. So Zephaniah 3:17 says, "The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness.
Mm.
He will quiet you with his love. He will exult over you with loud singing." Now, if you go into I thought this was really interesting. I thought he will quiet you with his love. Something didn't set right with that word quiet. So I went into, as I always do, into the Hebrew, into the, what's it called why can't I remember that? The original, when you interlinear, when you look it up under the interlinear in Bible Hub, it takes you right into the Hebrew. So when it says he will quiet you with his love, the word is karash, which actually means not quiet. I don't know how they got that. It means to cut in, to engrave, to plow. Almost like and I saw when I heard that a vinyl record coming up with the grooves into the vinyl record. And I thought that reminds me of he engraves his word upon our heart.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I thought that was fascinating. So he will exult over us with loud singing. Well, the word for singing is not singing. It is the word resh nun he, which is rina. And it means to produce a ringing cry, either out of joyous cheer, distress, or to introduce a declaration of some sort. So, of course, I had to go back even deeper into that because it also means appears to have meant to be nimble, agile, or highly aroused. So if you go into that word, rina, which was the word that was being highlighted for me, it's resh, which is person, head, nun, which is seed, life, and hey, which is behold and to reveal. So
Cool.
this is really strange because I began to meditate on this word rina, and the Lord showed me a definition that I hadn't any grid for, but his patterns are really consistent. He actually showed me that rina is akin to when someone is in a highly ecstatic state in intimacy
Mm.
and they release their seed. All
Wow.
right, I know it's a little, my husband was like, okay, that's a little too much for me. I can't deal with that. But but it's so funny because God's patterns are the same. How he, out of a consummation of his desire and his delight, did he release his word into this world, right? Did he speak and the world, and he released his breath out of his delight and the world was created. So we are a sound made in the highest desire of intimacy as seed is released. Wow. We are a proclamation to reveal a person as seed and life.
Yeah, come on.
We are a word out of heaven.
That's right.
Amen. So that just got me really, really excited. And he began to show me that the council of the sounds of heaven, if your scroll is like a movie, then the sounds and frequencies that support and undergird that movie is a soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And there is an actual record of the sounds of your scroll. And it's the soundtrack to our lives, basically. And so a lot of people have had understanding, like I had understanding about my scroll. I'd been shown my scroll, but without just like with a movie, without the set of sounds and frequencies that undergird that scroll, it's not complete. And what the council does is the council equips sons with the sounds and frequencies that accompany their scroll to accomplish the fullness of their scroll. Mm. So that was really exciting to me. And now, because I'd been hearing, and like all of you here, I know that in your life, there have been songs, there have been sounds, there have been words, which is a sound. There have been things that were like a gong going off in your head that you knew that sound had something to do with your destiny, but you didn't know why, and you didn't necessarily maybe know the fullness of it. And that's what the council and those on the council are, from the cloud of witnesses and from the created beings, are there to help us bring about. Wow. And that was so incredibly exciting to me because it explained so much of why I played certain patterns on my keyboard, why I was drawn to certain melodies and other melodies I wasn't even like drawn to, why I was drawn. I mean, there are so many layers to unpack that we all can still unpack with Yahweh regarding this. He also talked to me about DNA, about my DNA. And the reason that DNA is important is because, so I was adopted, and I always asked him, I had issues with being adopted, like everyone does. And I just hadn't gotten the fullness of putting it in its place where it needed to be within my emotions and framework. And so I was still wrestling with some rejection issues, etc. So during this encounter that I had, Jesus took me back in my DNA, and he showed me, he said, this settled it all, by the way. He said, Laura, you never could have accomplished your destiny within that family of origin. But I needed what they carried in their generational line and in their DNA to be a part of you. And I'm telling you, ooh, I can feel that one. I'm telling you, that healed immediately. That healed everything for me. And it also gave me a great appreciation and honor for my family of origin and the DNA that they carried. And as the Lord began to teach me about stuff, and as Zephaniah began to teach me about these things, he showed me how to go back in my DNA and call forth sounds and frequencies from and mantles that, you know, like a relay race that they had, that were part and deposited in my DNA, but they may not have finished the fullness of their race. And they were meant to be called forward to for such a time as this. So through that, I've been engaging the indigenous aspect of my DNA and pulled that forth and called that forth and honored those in my generational line that carried that. I've been, whatever he shows me about my DNA, he shows me for a reason, and I honor it and I call it forth to be used. And I have seen a massive shift and a massive change in what has come out of me. And I encourage you guys, when we go up or when we engage it, to present some of those questions to God yourself, and to let him show you maybe something in your DNA that may need to be pulled forward, because we partner with the clouds of witnesses. And I know Justin, I was so funny. I was listening to something Justin must have done recently on the cloud of witnesses, and he got a laugh attack, a whack attack for like 5 minutes straight. And of course, I went right there. I was trying to cook dinner, and I couldn't even cook because I was like so there with him. But anyway, we partner with the cloud of witnesses, and they trade into us, and we're trading into our future generations.
Yeah.
So that is the function of the sounds, the council of the sounds of frequencies. And for not everyone, it's not always going to be musical. Like Nancy Cohen, one of her life sounds and frequencies is the sound of all creation groaning.
Mm-hmm.
So be open to whatever God shows you, because it may look different than you ever expected. He may just show you one today. He may show you several. The good news is that once we engage something, it's outside of time, it's outside of eternity. So we therefore can go back anytime, right? Once the pathway is formed. Yes, hallelujah. So, so I'm going to invite us all to close our eyes, and I'm going to release my angels into their assignments. I'm going to release my new angel, Rapture. And let's just now turn our attention and step inside the light and the sound and the frequency of Yeshua's blood. And let's just bathe ourselves and baptize ourselves in that sound of congealed light. And all the aspects and all the attributes that are carried in the sound of his blood, crying out inside of us. It has a voice. And I see Yeshua extending his hand, and he's going to take us in to the realm of the council of the sounds of heaven through his ear. So we're just going to corporately, as one, take the hand of Yeshua and walk inside his ear. Follow him down the chamber. Thank you. Thank you, Yahweh. Yes. And we step inside the realm that is the council of the sounds of heaven, where they reside. were sounds and frequencies that were assigned before we even came here to our scroll, are waiting to be engaged, to be amplified. We are created like receivers, like speakers. We were meant to have a feed, a live feed from heaven, coming in us and going out of us, because all things are from Him, for Him, through Him, and back to Him. And that is the circle of life. So now I'm just going to be quiet as I give you time to engage. Use all your senses, your spiritual senses. You have the same set of senses. You have sight, you have hearing, you have touch, taste, and smell. Tune in to those senses. And Father, I'm just going to ask that you would assign each one in this group, that someone from your heavenly council would step forward, someone that would relate to their scroll and would show them and reveal to them the sounds and the frequencies that were uniquely given by you to each one of us for your glory, for your delight, so that we can sound back our scroll to you. We thank you that we are words created out of heaven. And we bless you. We love you. And we want our whole lives to be a song back to you, to be the song that you sang over us. We want our whole lives to reflect that and to sound that back. Hallelujah. So we're going to take a few minutes to just engage this. Maybe Rob, would you be able to play a little music as we do this? That would be awesome. And then after a few minutes, I'd like anyone who feels led to share. Janine, how do you like people to show that they would like to share? Do they need to raise their hand?
Raise their hand, and then we'll
Raise their hand, and then we'll unmute.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you turn it up a little bit, Rob, please?
Beautiful, Rob. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
I know some of you may have needed a little more time, but I'm just praying that, remember, it's done outside of eternity. And so we can go back through that same pathway, and God will even give us new pathways. So, does anyone feel like they would like to share? Because you know what it does? Sharing gives it a record in this earth, and it also encourages others to, that they too can have an incredibly profound experience. So, Janine said to raise your hand if you'd like to share.
Got Tina, I think, here. Can you unmute yourself if you like, Tina?
Yes. I experienced just these bursts of colors. It was royal purple, royal blue. Then it turned into like um, rainbow colors. And then they started going into these different shapes, like shapes and patterns. And then it would look smoky, like smoke in the air and roll around, but it was like all different colors. It was absolutely beautiful.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing that. And colors are a frequency. So, each one of the seven spirits is a color. And maybe, you should ask the Father, you can ask the Father, am I being invited into partnering with one of the seven spirits? Is this color and what this color represents part of my scroll? Is it a frequency that accompanies my scroll? So maybe Father will open that up to you even more. So thank you. And thank you for sharing that, Tina. And for other people that we're seeing colors as well, same thing. It is a frequency, and a smell is a frequency. Our brain interprets it as a certain smell, but it's actually a frequency that our brain then interprets as something that came through our nose.
Okay, we're gonna go to Tanya. Go for it, Tanya.
So I just ascended into like a council room, and the same thing. There were men in linen in a circle. It appeared that they had stood up from a table because there was a table in the room. It was a big oak table, I feel like, because I could smell the smell of oak. And there were scrolls rolled up across the table, and there were bands of frequencies, like triple bands, round bands. Some were straight bands, and there was, I touched one, and it was like an electrical feel, like a buzz that came off of it. And what it looked like, an archangel or a bigger angel came into the area and had a satchel on the front. And these bands were being shoved into scrolls by the men that were standing around the table, and then put into the satchel on the angel. And it was moving away with those, taking them to the earth. Then the Lord showed me a picture of the earth, or the foundations, and it had like a shock wave, like if a atomic bomb would hit, surrounding the earth. And I heard, sorry, I heard, you've been sending out frequencies your whole life, even when you didn't realize it. And I saw myself walking even as a child, and frequencies were raising, and it was just a big circle, like a unity of sounds that would regenerate from the earth back up to heaven. Sorry.
Oh no, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
No.
Wow, that's gorgeous. That's beautiful.
Oh, I think that was so precious. Okay,
Yeah.
Go to Susan now. Go for it, Susan.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so trying to get in view here. So okay. First, I saw the color yellow, and I had done an ascension recently, and felt that the Lord was saying to me to wear yellow, which I have yet to do. But and then I heard historic sounds, that I have some gift for historic sounds and songs. In different places of history where they had different sounds. I remembered the movie August Rush, where this young boy was just hearing sounds all over the place. And I wrote down heart listening. I love musicals. So worship with, I've wanted to write songs with the worship based on some of the beautiful sounds from the musicals that are so different from typical worship songs. Pure and clean, passionate. I wrote down passionate because I tend to be very passionate. And then I felt like this man came out of I was thinking, who's coming out of the group and so it was this man, like an older man in brown, like a brown, long brown, kind of like a monk. But he said to me, gentle, passionate and gentle, like a raging river, stormy, explosive, and also Middle Eastern and Irish strings. I'm half Middle Eastern and half Irish, so strings, earth sounds, the depths of earth. Then the man was there again, and I was like, who are you? And what I heard was Barnabas. And then again, river sounds, to listen and dance to the river sounds. So that's what I got.
That's awesome. Thank you, Susan. Wow.
Thank you.
Go to Cleo now, if I can do this.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I was in this room that was like a big round room with like an orchestra. And then I felt a man come over to me, and I felt like it was Ezekiel, and he led me to a throne, and then he sat down on the throne next to me, and then he kind of turned into Jesus. And then someone started wrapping me up in this robe, and it was like going round, like over and over and over again, like round and round and round me. And then the robe started like floating, like it was light, and it was just kind of like hovering, but then it kept wrapping around me and around me and around me up till like just up above me. So I was completely covered in this robe, and it was like electric and it was light. And then I started dancing and started like releasing it. And then I heard, "This is the garment of praise."
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Cleo. That's beautiful.
Okay. Thank you, Cleo. That was awesome.
Hello, guys. You hear me okay?
Hang on a minute. Let me spotlight you.
Well,
Sure, Abraham normally does this bit, but she's having a problem with her internet, so I'm learning as I go.
You're doing awesome, Janine.
There we go. Go.
oh, there I am. Okay, it's a real honor to be here. I'll just quickly share what I was engaging with. Laura, you really set it up. I engaged through Yeshua's ear. I really enjoyed that. That was a new kind of gate for me to engage with. So I'm just going to read what I wrote it down. When I entered, I heard the sounds of creation and also First Nations sounds. So that's something that I've been engaging with. So that's something I was familiar with. But I sensed to keep going deeper down the channel of Yeshua's ear. I sensed it became very quiet and very still and very dark, like in the Hebrew expression, the koshek. And David came to me, and I like engaging with David. It's somebody I've engaged with for a long, long time. So David came and he told me that this was the places, it was in the places of the open fields where he was as a shepherd. But so he heard the sounds of creation. But he said it was also in the places of the depths of the cave during that season in his life.
Yeah.
That he learned to express himself from the quietness within into creation without. And he would David, go back and forth. And he was sitting in the cave in the depths of Yeshua's ear. So I started to do that with him. And as I was doing that, he turned to me and said, your soul will hear and taste, as well as your spirit. It will come together in this union of sound. Then he said, when I came out of the cave, I would strike the strings of the lyre of the harp, and it would release the seed of the sound that birthed what he was to release in his day. And still, it's being released in our day, is it not? It's affecting us. Then he put his hand on my shoulder, and one of the First Nations chiefs that I engaged with came. They stood beside me and said, the depth within the womb is where the sound will be birthed through you.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh,
that's awesome.
Okay, so
here's my wife, Marcia Shorey. Just quickly, she's going to share something here.
I'm sorry to cut in, but I
please.
just wanted to just hang on a second. Let me just take off this so you can see what I created while you were. Okay, because you can't see it when you have the screen up, the background on. Oh, where did it go? Okay, don't know if you can see that.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Wow, yeah. Awesome.
That's what he was talking about with the seed, the beings going in between, and actually it spoke to me. The Yeshua spoke to me about the Ark of the Covenant.
Wow.
Okay,
That's beautiful. That's very powerful.
Yeah. I love it when people are doing, we've had quite a few people write poems and actually do art while we've been doing these sessions. And it's so great just to see instantly what is kind of coming out as we're engaging. So we're going to go to Rachel next, if I can just bear with me.
Can I just while we're getting to Rachel, can I just share something about davening real quick? Because after this 48-hour encounter I had, I cannot stop rocking back and forth. And a few years before that, one time I was in my child's school, and I noticed a boy that was autistic, and he was rocking back and forth. And I said, oh, Father, I just engaged, and I said, oh, Father, bless that boy, that poor boy. And the Father cut me off, and he said, Laura, that boy is aligning himself to my heartbeat. And he said, why do you think that when you hold a baby that just came from me, a brand new newborn, why do you rock back and forth? Because that baby just came from my heartbeat. Wow. And so I know that davening is a Hebraic nodding towards Israel or Jerusalem, but to me, it's just an alignment to the frequency of the Father's heart. So I just wanted to share that. Hi, Rachel. Yay, I get to meet you. Rachel, by the way, this beautiful young lady, she did the artwork for my song, The Tuning. So I'm excited to officially meet you. You're beautiful.
Yeah.
So are you. Oh, my goodness. Oh, first of all, I love that you added on that. I'm going to butcher the word. Starting with a D, it's David. Is that how you say it?
Oh, davening.
Okay, because from the time I got saved, it's been a thing for me, and I didn't know that it was even a Hebrew thing until I started to dive in. But what I saw was the ear kind of turned to a yod, and I saw it as a yod. And the way that I interpret yod is like, I know it's the Allspark creation, but I see it as like the information, the brain, it's like the computer is kind of how I see it. So I saw that, and then I actually heard a sound before Rob started ever playing music. I actually heard a tone, and it sounded like what I've kind of been playing around with solfeggio, the frequencies. So I heard that, and then I kept hearing David, but I didn't see, but I kept hearing David. And then I saw myself in the cosmos, like in the sky. And then I saw this wind come around me and embrace me. And then it came from within me and it was shooting forth all these different colors. It was like red and blue and purple and just all of that just coming from me. And then right before you recalled us, so to speak, I heard the words, and this is, I don't have understanding for it, but I heard feet and lungs.
Mm. Well, I'm sure he'll open that up to you more.
Do those have frequency?
Every body part has a frequency. Absolutely. Okay. And yes, you can totally ask him how that applies to your scroll and your journey.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll do a couple more, is it, Laura? How many more?
Sure, whatever you want.
Okay, so we'll go to...
I'm so excited that people are open to sharing. It's really, really powerful.
I'm still experiencing it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. As I went in to the ear of Yeshua, I felt his hand leading his oily fingers, actually. And I took hold. It's like they were like this, my fingers, and his fingers were on top, and he was leading me. And they were oily. And all of a sudden I started seeing pearls, so strings of pearls. And then as I was following him, to my right, I began seeing like organs, internal organs. But they were all healthy and beautiful. And as I continued to follow him, I began seeing that we were descending, descending as if we were in a theatrical arena. And then all of a sudden it was dark. And then all of a sudden I see the stage, the theatrical stage light up. And then I'm on the stage, and then I see the red drapes, these heavy, beautiful velvet, like blood, red drapes. And then he gives me, I see David, Daniel, and Solomon surround me, and they're smiling and just so smiling, just smiling, giving me the greatest smile. With their cheeks are so shiny and bright. And then I'm on the stage, and all of a sudden David is leading me as I'm dancing across the stage. From stage, it would be stage left to stage right. And I'm dancing, and he's showing me movements, and I'm copying those movements.
That's awesome.
They're in ballet movements, and I see myself doing arabesque and just repeating those same movements. And then the string of pearls are just growing. And I see this, all of a sudden I saw myself standing. I wasn't standing. Actually, I was doing berets in place. And there's this huge, I'm doing berets on top of, I'm working with these flowers. With these flower-looking beings. And they're turning clockwise, and I'm turning with them, doing berets. And then as that's happening, lightnings join us, and lightnings are going out into the universe and into all of creation, and changes are shiftings. Things are being shifted as God's heartbeat, as Yeshua's heartbeat is directed. We're directing them. They're going out.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's very important for your specific assignment on this planet. So I'm looking forward to him unpacking that even deeper for you. That's so cool. Thank you.
Allowing me to share it. I appreciate you. Thank you. Helps.
Okay, so we'll have a couple more and then I think we'll wrap up. So I'll go to Deanne.
Woo! That was so awesome. So went into this room, like when we into the council, and it was like swirling, and it's like when you see in the movies, and there's like, you know, the spirits and the ancestors all going around. So that was just going round and around this room, and I ended up standing into it, and then, you know, mucking around in that, so facing it and turning sideways and turning the other way. So if I'm facing it, I'm receiving. If I'm turning the other way, it's pushing me and moving. So then I went really fast, and then I found myself up above, and a door, which I understood to be like to go in to be a bench of 3. I don't know much about benches, so I was like, oh, I was expecting to see 2 other people. But what it was like the bench of 3 marks or things in my life. So the first one was me sitting on a concert piano on a stool with children. So yes, good. Okay, I'll be with children. The second one, what was the second one? The second one was, I saw a picture of like a person, like a specific thing. So I know children, cultural, music and dance. And then the third one, I was sitting here and I just felt like this big fiery sword come down and just cut me in half. And then out of me, or I transformed to, it was like this golden eagle. So yeah, it was just so exciting, and I'm really whacked, and I'm just so yeah, can't wait to go back in and check out more of that. So thank you so much, Laura, for that. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Deanne. Bless you. That's awesome. And remember too, children can be symbolic of those new and naive to what we're doing. So everything is not always literal. So I mean, children may be spot on for your scroll, but in case that didn't resonate with you, ask the Father of whether, you know, deeper about that. Danielle, there, yeah.
Oh, hi.
Danielle.
Hi. Okay, mine's quick because I had a crazy puppy in the room. So, okay, I held Yeshua's hand like you instructed us to do, but everyone on the call, we all kind of like formed into one, and we were all going into his hand together. And then we went into the ear, and it was really trippy. It was just like the psychedelic colors. I was going down a slide, and I saw this like portal open up, and out of it came a man. And I was like, okay, like who's engaging with my scroll, you know? And out came of it was Isaiah. And I've been engaged Isaiah before in the past with my scroll. But I said, okay, you know, Laura wants us to engage this. I don't have that much time. So I'm like, what frequency do we have in common, Isaiah? Like, why are you a part of my scroll? And he said, you carry a frequency. And I believe this is for a lot of people on this call. This is not just a personal thing, but you carry a frequency of the future and of like the sounds of the future. And especially like for me in my heart, I just want to see a mature church, and that's people that don't even know that they're in Christ yet, you know, and to just call out that sound in them and the sound of creation. And a lot of it is ancient, but it's also like the future, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And that was it. My puppy jumped on me, so that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle.
Okay, so should we do one more?
Oh, there's so many, but yeah, let's do one more because I know time is an issue.
We'll try and do the last 3, the 3 that have got their hands up, but we won't do any more just because I know some of you guys have been waiting. Okay. Go for it, Aaron. Mute it. Unmute, that's great.
Yeah, I can't think of the lady or the person that said that the bench of 3 and then the children were there. I'm definitely a babe to this. I'm new to this. And even I guess it was the book that you wrote, Laura, about tuning. Is it a book that
Oh,
you
the
said you did
song? The
a
song.
song? Oh, that's
Yeah.
even better. Yeah, I am a musician, and when he started playing, definitely, even with the last lady Danielle, it was like a swirl, but it was into my ear canal, and it was colors that I'd never seen. I can't even put a description on the colors that I saw, but it did that, and it was as if my eyes and my ears were being brought together. So as I see, I hear, and as I hear, I see, and that's what I got. That's what I got, and I guess it was like I'm gonna have to find your song tuning because that's what it was like. It was like a tuning of retuning and realigning. So yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow.
what I got.
That's beautiful. And I did forget to mention that relates to that. So as a worship / ascension leader, when I do prepare to lead worship, I actually I actually ascend with the band before to find and access the scroll for that particular um, encounter, for that particular event. And then as I begin, I take my seat in the council and I just begin to, like you said, sing what I see go across those screens. So I would say 90% of when I lead worship now, it's spontaneous and it's just literally releasing what I'm seeing. So that's where we're all heading. We're all heading into doing whatever our creative outlet is from above down instead of from down here above. Thank you for sharing that.
All of you. I posted 2 photographs, and if you can access them in the chat. The name Raphael really stood out to me. We had a wildfire. I live in the Verde Valley, Arizona. Sedona, Arizona is in this area, and the wildfire to the north was named Raphael.
Interesting.
One of the photos is of the smoke plume over our house, and as I looked at it, it was very dense, very dark. I thought, Father, this is the shadow of your wing, and this is something so deep and real. When I was in retreat in February, and during that time we went an ascension for the Verde Valley. When 2 saints, Saint Cyprian and Saint Patrick, came into the ascension, we were all taken to a higher court. Many of us had never been there before, and it was very powerful. We were instructed to do a prophetic enactment at the bridge. Midgley Bridge is Sedona. The city seal has this bridge on it. To purify actions, atrocities that had happened on the land for the Native Americans, and specifically in 2012 in the Verde Valley, a prophetic voice came and spoke, and he spoke in ascension language, which many of us didn't understand at the time. And now from 2012 to 21, the 2 numbers are interchanged. Among many other things, he said there'd be an explosion at the center of Arizona. At the opposite side of the valley from Raphael was a fire called the Backbone Fire. And it was on a geographic location near the center of Arizona called Ike's Backbone, short for Isaac. Laughter. And this, the kind of what I'm encapsulated because there were so many points. The emphasis that this prophetic voice made in 2012 was that there would be with this explosion the purifying of the priesthood. As this explosion, speaking the Spirit went out to the nation, an explosion to purify the priesthood, to give the sound, and then specifically for the Verde Valley, to call forth, open the portals, bring that sound, purify the four texts of Sedona, to take down the thrones of iniquity, to purify those, and to just utterly take us into this ascension realm in the Verde Valley and Sedona specifically. So I believe there's a lot personal, regional, and corporate in that. Thanks for the opportunity to share.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. In my experience, every time I'm doing worship and Raphael steps forward and shows himself to me, the result of that, I know that healing is going to be released that day. And there is a multiplication of healing and restoration when he gets involved. So perhaps that's why he's being highlighted to you as well. So continue to engage that. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you, Laura.
It was an honor.
We think we'll probably have to have you back, because I think there's so many things I know that we could learn from you as well. I've got tons of questions that I'd love to ask you about when you're kind of functioning as a worship person and kind of seeing in the realm, and just really learn from you. So we'd love to have you back. I'm just so encouraged that so many of us are engaging the unseen and starting to reveal it. Even on this call tonight, what we've done is we've engaged his heart, we've engaged the unseen realm, and we've released a record of that out onto the earth. And whether we're dancers, whether we're poets, whether we're preachers, whether we're business people, architects, that's how we're going to release his goodness onto the earth, is by being part of what is going on in heaven, participating in the record of the life of Yahweh in all these ancient ones that continually surround us and are spurring us on and encouraging us. And what we're doing in this group is that we are trying to be a literal demonstration of that. You know, that's my heart, is for us to encourage each other, spur us on, be sparks for one another, so we're not isolated in whatever we're doing, whatever Yahweh's got us doing, whether we're actually in a season of producing projects or art or poetry, or whether we're just in that time of rest. It doesn't really matter. Or whether, even if we're beginning to desire to do that, and this is just a place, a community where we can kind of bring that life, be in that river together, be in that oneness, be in the cloud, be in the union, and out of that sweet place, out of his heart, not out of knowledge, that we kind of begin to release. And we've said, and we, Laura, a few times, that there's such a multiplication, isn't there? I see collaboration kind of coming in the future through communities like this, and it's so exciting as we learn together, because you know, we don't know that much. I never feel like I know anything.
Yep.
Tip of the iceberg. Yeah, so we're learning together, but you know, the amazing thing is we're learning from him together. Yeah. That's what's happening tonight, is that there's been that transaction of him into us. Yeah. You know, every single person. So thank you so much for everyone who was brave and kind of shared, and thank you so much, Laura, and we'll definitely have you back if you're up for that. Of course. On that note as well, I would like to say these I kind of host these along with Rob Townley, who did the amazing music. Yes. If you like his music, you can follow him on Spotify and YouTube, and he's got some awesome stuff that you can go into ascension with. Just don't drive with it, because it's dangerous. I've ended up in wrong places and all sorts, especially with this Yodhe Vave one. So look, Robert, also, these are free. So if anyone would like to trade into Laura tonight, I'm going to be trading into her. How can people do that, Laura?
I guess just PayPal, Laura C Music Flow at gmail.com is my email, but also the products. I'm currently working on my website and getting it finished. and product will be available then. But right now it is on Nancy Cohen's. It's called globalascensionnetwork.org. Under product, it's all available there. And it's also available for free on YouTube. All the music is there for free. Just Google Laura C. Worship or YouTube, and you should be able to find it. And then you can sit, and some of the songs are like 47 minutes, so you can sit and engage and reascend with them. So thank you all. I was just so honored to be here, and I'm excited about what Father's doing.
Yeah, I think Rachel has gone, but Elizabeth, would you like to just close us out? Let's get you here as well. Most of you guys should know Elizabeth. She hosts this wonderful community alongside me and Rob and Rachel. Otherwise it wouldn't be happening. So do you want to close us out or add anything, Elizabeth, before we go?
I have nothing to add. This has been awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. What an honor to have you and learn from you. And yeah, this has been just amazing. So yeah, I'll just close this out. How's that?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So Father, we just, as we go in your breath, we go in union with you and with each other. And we just, as we go, we just engage with the seamless oneness. And we remain in that. And we thank you for it. We just thank you for this union that we live in, that you've awakened us to. And we just, in every moment, in every minute, we come into deeper awakening and awareness of this union, of this seamless oneness, and we just call our entire being into deeper awakening, deeper awareness of this reality of union, of this reality that is the highest reality that we sit in, of union, of this seamless oneness with your heart and with each other and with all creation. In the name of Yeshua, thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thanks, guys.
We love you guys. Thank you for coming today. Everybody's muted waving.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, guys. This has been great.
Oh, thank you. So lovely to meet you.